All right, welcome back to the Barbell Medicine YouTube channel or Instagram Live, wherever you're catching this. We're doing a Q&A. It's been a minute. I don't know when the last time was that we did this, but happy to have you. It's the announcements, the template sale still going on through the rest of today, and then it's going to be over. We have updated them based on some user feedback, so it should be pretty good to use right now. And then what else? Let's see, we just posted another Q&A from Brooklyn. We got some new material, other new material coming out this week. And we just opened up 5 more spots in Seattle, although 3 of them I think are already gone, maybe 4. So, all right, we've got some questions on the Instagrams. Let's see, does Accutane affect gains or performance at all? No, at least as far as the evidence is concerned. I mean, everybody's individual experience is going to be their individual experience. So, that being said, it's not routine that people on Accutane are going to have worse performance result outcomes like strength on particular lifts or hypertrophy results. Although, it hasn't been extensively studied. And then catabolic steroids. Prednisone really isn't. I mean, long-term prednisone use at high doses certainly can be catabolic, although short-term, people tend to feel really, really good. So it depends on the dose and the chronicity of the dosing. So can't really say. Basically you would see with somebody on chronic steroids, if they needed to be on chronic steroids, that they'd have a higher risk of tendinopathy or tendon rupture, perhaps, depending on the dosing. And then they likely would have a decreased muscle protein synthesis response, although to what effect would be hard to say. Just talking in generalities. Jordan, what's up? Traveling was good, man. Yeah, it's back from Toronto. Heading to Atlanta this weekend. Yeah. Let's see, is anyone's audio really low? No, looks like it's okay here. Why the decrease in volume towards the bridge? To make room for novel stress singles. That's just an intensification period. Get you rolling into the next training block. So let's see. I purchased hypertrophy 3-day template. When should I be doing the GPP workout? Specifically the upper back and arm workouts. It doesn't matter. So there's you can click the help tab and see about GPP, and you can do it either on off days or at the end of your training session. Either way works. Rachel Singer, PA student. I need to present on evidence-based medicine. Do you have good article recommendations? I mean, depends on what you'd like to present about in the context of evidence-based medicine. I think my favorite article it's about jumping out of a plane without a parachute, that there's no evidence-based medicine for evidence-based science journal articles suggesting that if you jump out of a plane without a parachute that you will not in fact die. It just kind of discusses the limitations of evidence-based medicine. But it's kind of a salty article. I believe that was in BMJ. Might have been in JAMA. I'm not sure offhand. I forgot. So it really depends what topic you'd like to present on. But, searching for articles on PubMed, Trip Database, yeah, it's a good place to start. Why do you recommend 3 to 5 hours between meals? Is there a maximum amount of protein you'd recommend for a single meal? No, there's not a maximum amount. It just depends on the context, what kind of diet a person is running, and then what their needs are nutritionally. 3 to 5 hours. 3 is the minimum for muscle protein synthesis refractory period. 5 hours. If you go longer than that, you start eating less meals per day, although it's not a huge concern. It's just if you have to ask what my preference is, that's my preference. All right. Fitness, ATP, follow me, please. I made a new account and want YouTube to be my job someday. That sounds awful. No. Yeah, I think, hard pass on that. But best of luck. Let's see, Dan Ludwig. I'm having issues with a bit of a rounded low back on my last 1 to 2 reps of my deadlift sets. The sets only feel RP 7 or 8, so I don't want to go lighter, but I don't want to have a rounded back. Well, I think your technique should play a role in how you rate the RPE. And, if the muscles aren't strong enough to do their job on those last few reps, then you can make the argument that in order to train those muscles, you should lighten the weight a little bit so that they can be active. Good evening, doctor. Does lifting affect height? No, not at all. Nope, not at all. Any plans for a seminar in Dubai? Not offhand, no. Oh, Leah says we have 1 Washington spot left now. Nice. The last Q&A intro was amazing, to be honest. Hey, thanks, Noel. That's awesome. Let's see. Can I play soccer 2 hours a day and make gains? I mean, if you're untrained completely and you start training and you're still playing soccer 2 hours a day, you'll likely get a little stronger, gain some muscle. But if you're asking if your performance or your net improvement will be as much as it could be, the answer is no, of course. So, thoughts on Smovie rings for hypertrophy? I don't know what those are. Let's use a Google machine. Hopefully this is a safe Google search. Exercise rings. These look real stupid. Smovie was designed to offer... Oh, Jesus. What is this? Oh, God. This is stupid. Pass. Mike Isertel, most trainees might want to omit overhead press since the delts get hammered in presses already. How to refute that? I don't think that I would refute that. I don't know why you would omit overhead press because the delts get hit in other movements. It depends what your goals are. If you want to be strong in the overhead press, there's no way to do that without overhead pressing. If you don't care about your strength in the overhead press, maybe you don't overhead press. Just started 12-week strength version 2.0. That's nice. Very cool. If I want to switch to sumo, what are some of the better sumo videos to watch? Would you recommend Bryce Krazik's tutorial? I haven't watched their tutorial. I'm sure it's fine. I think sumo deadlifting is not that different than conventional deadlifting as far as technique goes, other than the actual setup, you know? So you should still be 1 inch away from the barbell, bar over the middle of the foot, shoulders in front of the bar, just a wider stance. And it's the best way to get better at it is to do it, right? So doing the bridge, sometimes on squats, my sets at RP7 feels difficult, almost an 8.5, but when I try to power through and do my listed weight at RP8, it feels like a 7. Is this common? I mean, I think whatever story you tell to yourself about the difficulty of a set is the reality. So I'm not necessarily sure what you're asking. There you go. My boy, my mensch, so good to see you on Instagram Live. Hey, thanks. What's up, buddy? What's up, Mr. Doctor? How's it going? When does the group program for September start? Next week. Yes, the program will be delivered this weekend. Yeah. Hi, Jordan. I'm wondering, do you use waist measurements that would indicate that someone is underweight to go with BMI? No. Not for diagnosing somebody who's underweight. No. I do use waist circumference very often for other management, however. Yeah. Just finished 12-week strength program. Should I hop on the 7-week hypertrophy plan? Yeah, you could do that, or the 12-week strength again. Either way. Just depends. If you don't have a meet coming up, I'd probably do the hypertrophy plan. Yeah. It's my last week in this developmental cycle. Is it normal to feel slightly run down after a session? It can. I wouldn't expect to feel good or bad necessarily. Just something's going to happen. You know. Dan Ludwig asks, what's the deal with metabolism? What's the deal with metabolism? Are you speeding up? Are you slowing down? What do you do? Arunas Mitrov. Oh, shoot, I can't pronounce that. Do I need fruits on a cut or I'm fine? You don't need fruits on a cut or a bulk, although I do think there's some benefit to eating fruits fairly regularly. Do you have any suggestions for resources when putting together a meal plan? I know the macros I need to hit, but any suggestions on where to find recipes? I mean, I don't think there's any special recipe site that I've come across that's super useful. I use Genius Kitchen a lot when I'm cooking stuff, but as far as like macro-friendly stuff, Can you suggest a type or brand of collagen supplement for tendinitis? No, there's no specific brand out there that's great. I mean, you could use just gelatin off the out of the supermarket, but we're actually making a collagen protein for this that's dosed appropriately for this particular application. So 12 grams of gelatin or collagen protein be fine. Thanks for the answer. Appreciate the content you share. Hey, you got it, buddy. What's a reasonable amount of progress for an intermediate to make in 1 year? Progress measured as pounds added to squat, bench, deadlift. Well, after a novice, I mean, there's going to be a whole different. I mean, that's a wide world. I mean, you have people add hundreds of pounds to each lift, and you have people who add less than 100 total. So, and everything in between is just a spectrum of training sensitivity and responsiveness. So there's no real reasonable amount that's average. Suggestions for hips rising and bar drifting forward during deadlifts. The bar drifting away from your legs, you should probably use your lats a little bit more to keep the bar on your legs. If your hips are rising before the bar leaves the floor, you set your hips too low. Yeah. Do you think bend the bar is a good cue for the squat to facilitate tightness? I haven't found it to be particularly effective, no. No, to be honest. Matthew, hey, what's up, man? I saw your email this morning. I got to send you the novice program so you can check it out. Yeah, I see you. You could start the starting strength LP, though. That'd be fine. Jimmy N says, I eat the same stuff every day. You're not at risk for developing a micronutrient deficiency unless you live in a developing country. Yeah. Hey, UC Biologics guy from my past live stream. Oh, from past live stream. Do you think my condition improves my low back pain? What the Oh, you're on biologics for an autoimmune disease. Do I think that as your condition improves, your low back pain will improve? If you expect it to, sure. But maybe not necessarily either. I would be positive, though, rather than negative. Hey, Jordan, question on the pros and cons of regular ice bath exposure. Not sure recovery, but for general health benefits, if there are any. Pros, there are none, except for performance, maybe acutely when you do an ice bath and you have to compete on the same day and it's hot outside. Cons, expense, pain, time. Yeah, I don't think ice baths are terribly useful for anything. I live in Atlanta. Am I doing a seminar this weekend? Nay, I am not. Do you have a program for growing calves? Mine are genetically a disaster. I don't. Yeah, I don't. It's not something I'm personally interested in, but if you're not training your calves, I wouldn't expect them to grow, I just started deadlifting twice a week. Amazingly, my CNS is not fried. Yeah, central fatigue, so fatigue generated in the brain from both physiological processes involving neurotransmitters and then also psychological factors derived from how aroused you have to be to train and how much hype you have to use and what sort of stress you perceive yourself to be under. Usually from resistance training that only lasts minutes to hours rather than any long-lasting effects. Duration of training session tends to be the more novel kind of stress there as far as CNS, central fatigue, not CNS fatigue, but central fatigue. Total fatigue is a combination of peripheral, central, and then muscle damage. Ooh. Hey, Doc, you had me laughing while watching the Brooklyn Q&A. Hey, thanks, man. It's the pregnancy thing, right? Hey, Jordan, I hope things are well. Welcome back to the U.S. Hey, thanks, man. Should ask when, if someone got the old hypertrophy template, will they get the new one? Should have been today. Should have been today, I think. I feel like Bill Clinton. Today you should get your next template. I did not proofread the original template because I paid somebody else to, and that was a mistake. All right, that was a really bad Bill Clinton impersonation, but I'm working on it. All right, there are people on both sides of the fence about upright rows and their safety. Do you think most people safely from an anatomical position? I don't know if that's a question, but I don't think that upright rows are inherently dangerous. No. Feels great, but this physiotherapist said it's bad. Well, I don't think physiotherapists know how to prescribe or evaluate or coach anything related to strength conditioning unless they have outside interest in strength conditioning and have been doing it for a long time. That's my general thought there. Jordan, I'm running HLM after doing the LP and running the bridge a few times. I've noticed my squat and bench are shooting up, but my deadlift is stagnant, and I'm feeling fried come Friday. Am I experiencing too much stress early in the week? I'm eating a calorie surplus and managing stress outside the gym. Sounds like just your deadlift programming needs to be changed. Are you running our HLM or your own HLM? That'd be a question I'd want to know. Would you say that an estimated 1RM through a strength cycle that only fluctuates about 5 to 10 pounds up and down? I mean, sometimes. Ultimately, average the same over 4 weeks suggests my program is not working. Not necessarily. It depends on what outcomes. I mean, if you're trying to improve your 1RM and you're not doing singles, you're not doing high intensity stuff, so where you'd have an accurate barometer for if that's improving or not, then I don't know if you can derive anything. But if you are doing a lot of singles on the lifts that you care about, and the estimated 1RMs aren't trending up, then that's not so good. Let's see, Matt Dietz, 2-week holiday. I know there's individual dependencies, but if I held a gun to your head, what is the minimum effort blanket recommendation you'd give to an intermediate to avoid detraining? I mean, you're going to detrain if you do less than what you're doing now. From a strength perspective, if you define strength as like a 1RM on a squat, bench, deadlift, press, and you don't squat, bench, deadlift, press, that's it. That doesn't mean that your strength will, catastrophically plummet and you'll spend months and months having to get it back. It just, it's an obstacle you have to overcome. So I would train if you can, normally. Dr. J, is it serum amino acid levels or insulin levels that must return to baseline to allow the mTOR pathway to reset and allow for the refractory period to occur? Amino acid levels, not insulin levels. Yeah. Does it matter how much I chew my food? Well, from like a choking perspective, yeah. Is the lumbar spine not meant to bend, especially during lifting? The lumbar spine can flex and extend, so it can bend. Should it move during lifting? I mean, you wouldn't want it to from an efficiency standpoint and from training the musculature that's designed to keep the spine in place, but it's not going to kill you if it does. Ashton XX. What would some requisites be for you guys in order to become a barbell medicine coach in the future? You'd have to attend our seminar, be able to coach, and know our methodology. Yeah. If I fry my CNS, will it impact my fat macros for the day? It probably will overshoot your fat macros, yeah. Let's see. Robert Hathaway, is there a reasonable max number of high-intensity interval training conditioning sessions a week in novice linear progression with goal of losing inches from waist first using stationary bike for HIIT? I probably wouldn't do any, 0 to 1 would probably be my recommendation, and then additional conditioning should be low-intensity steady state because all of your other training is high-intensity anaerobic training anyway from weightlifting. So from a developmental standpoint, doing some low-intensity steady state would probably be useful. Do I have a preference in recommendation between figure 8 or lasso straps for deadlift and rows? Figure 8 or lasso straps? I don't know what those are. Yeah. Legit, though, I hear people say that they eat throughout the day to increase their metabolism. I don't really know what that means or if it has any legitimacy. The only way to increase your metabolism is by eating more, and if that means gaining weight, then your metabolism goes up because your body surface area goes up. Also, increasing your activity would increase your metabolic rate rather. But eating more versus less throughout the day doesn't matter. Yep. You want to present on pain science. Yeah, so I think going to the painscience.com website and poking around on there, finding a topic you're interested in, and then they cite all their sources, so just going through there be fine. Yeah. What's the one? It's like the Bayesian brain model of pain science. I think that's the title of the article. I'm not sure offhand, but that's a really good read. Yeah. If we bought the hypertrophy template recently, do we get access to the new one? Yes, should be sent to you via email. Would you have debated Chad Wesley Smith and Max Ada differently now that you have left starting strength, specifically in regards to the squat? They always make the argument that the quads are most important. I mean, yeah, I think that my tone and then probably my agreeability would have changed. I felt like when I did that podcast with Max and Chad that I sort of had I was there defending starting strength effectively. And I think that at the time that made sense to me. And also at the time I hadn't questioned a lot of different things that I kind of took as either reasonable or sort of accepted. So I think, yeah, the quads are super important to the squat. I don't think that the high bar squat necessarily trains the quads significantly better for all folks compared to the low bar squat. I think that there's going to be inter-individual differences. I think that the net joint moment is probably higher on the quads in the high bar squat versus the low bar squat. But if we talk about strength is very specific, and it's specific to the joint angle, the movement velocity, the range of motion, the type of movement. So you can make the argument that, yeah, for most folks, the high bar back squat is much more specific to the Olympic lifts from a clean recovery standpoint. And I think that there's no argument there. I think, on the other hand, if you have somebody who can't train their high bar back squat productively in a way that they get stronger over time, I don't know how much that contributes to the rest of their lifting. You could make the other argument, I don't know if we're on the third hand now, that if someone can't train their high bar squat productively to get stronger in it, that maybe they're not such a great Olympic weightlifting candidate. Because, you definitely want a front squat that's super specific. You'd want that to be getting stronger. You'd want a high bar to complement your front squat and your clean training and your snatch training to make you stronger. If you can't get your high bar to go up and you can get your low bar, your low bar is more trainable for whatever reason, then maybe you just train your low bar. But I think the high bar is certainly more specific for Olympic weightlifting. That being said, if you want a low bar and you can get that much stronger, it's more trainable than your high bar squat for whatever reason, that's fine. Or if your low bar squat looks a lot like your front squat and your clean recovery and your snatch recovery, then the joint angles, the movement velocities are similar, then I think it's kind of a wash. People with long torsos, for instance, not that different. So any telling how long till I can CRISPR myself to be more training sensitive? I don't know, man. That's funny. Yo, quick question. What are good alternatives to pins? My gym currently doesn't have any. Just do paused variations, yeah. Sun Tran, does periodized women training based on their menstrual cycle have any merit benefits? There are a handful of studies out there, it's like 2 and 2 or 2 and 3, something like that, on each side, that say that women are stronger in their luteal phase, which is when the corpus luteum, the uterine tissue, is growing secondary to progesterone increase and relative estrogen decrease after the follicular phase. There are a couple of studies that say that women are stronger then. There are also a couple of studies that women are stronger during the follicular phase when estrogen is gradually increasing and progesterone is relatively low. I think with data on both sides and ultimately other studies that are actually looking at performance on things that matter instead of like an isometric hand grip test, and like self-reported symptoms or field performance, how people run, jump, throw, etc., with their minimal differences. I don't know if there's any real merit to that outside of basing training around someone's individual sort of experience that's fairly reliable. So if someone always is much stronger at a certain point of the month that coincides with a certain part of their menstrual cycle, then you could leverage that. But I don't know if I would make any blanket statements that are generalizable to everybody. Let's see. Does lifting the head during the bench increase the risk of any neck or upper back injury? Probably not. Please blow nose. Audible nose whistle is prominent. No, that's just my voice. So I don't need to blow my nose. I could do this if that makes you feel better. Yeah, just Jewish. Don't need to blow the nose. Hi, Jordan. Sorry if you already talked about that, but what is your stance on power cleans? I'm a 36-year-old novice and feel kind of stupid, self-conscious even trying them in a gym when no one ever does them. I am under the impression that they would mostly make me more explosive, which I don't really get. Would rows be okay too? So, yeah, let's talk about this. Power cleans do not transfer over to the deadlift hardly at all outside of, compared to other lifts. That's the TLDR. So again, strength is speed specific, joint specific, type of contraction specific. And even though the deadlift and the power clean have similar joint angles and similar muscle length, how stretched the certain muscles are in those positions, the contraction velocity is much, much different, and therefore power cleans don't transfer very well to the deadlift at all. Now, for an untrained person, sure, doing anything is going to transfer better or transfer, reasonably to a reasonable amount to any other thing, meaning that if your squat goes up, your bench press is going to go up, and if your bench goes up, your squat's going to go up if you're completely untrained. But as a person who becomes more and more trained, the power clean contributes less and less, and certainly less to the deadlift and the squat than additional deadlift and squat training. So I actually don't think that the power clean is a good activity, if if they really care about either their squat, bench, deadlift, press, that strength in the slower movements, because a slower velocity movement is going to be much more specific and much more applicable to that. If they're concerned about aesthetics, I think that from a hypertrophy standpoint, power cleans are trash.com. And if they're concerned about just general strength conditioning, then not anything specific like on field, or anything that would require strength and high velocity movement speed, then I think that power cleans are a waste of training time. So that's my take. That's my hot take. Serena says 1 at 8 comp bench this week was more than my 1RM my last meet. That's awesome. Hey, nice. What are the cons of jumping straight into a 4-day hypertrophy without having done the 3-day? It's just more volume. Be all right. Let's see. I always tear my hands in meets because I always tear my hands in meets because I train deadlift with a bald bar. Any tips? Just get a gym with better bars? Yeah, or buy your own bar. There you go. Jordan, I have not received my strength template 2.0. You should have, I think. Send us an email, support@barbellmedicine.com. How do you feel about current PT CPGs for patients with low back pain? I don't know what a CPG is. So, yep. I'm going to miss having you answer my question when your live streams have tons more questions and views. You and Barbell Medicine rock. Hey, thanks, man. Nice. Have I ever thought of trying jujitsu? Jujitsu? I have not. Realist question, is religion placebo or nocebo? Yes. Both, probably, yeah. Stephen Gunn, Jordan, long time no see. Let's give your Barbell Medicine athletes some of the mental programming I gave Tia. There you go. We're going to make everyone mentally strong through the refining power of barbell training. Jesus. Recommendations to improve squat stability and balance. More squats. Yep. If a lifter complains about general pain in the wrist, not during bench, would you recommend changes in training? Not necessarily. Depends how bad it is, what my workup suggests, how worried I am about them. Why don't I like McGill's stuff? Doesn't he have more knowledge about back pain than you guys? That's strictly his thing. Well, you would think so, but he considers all the pain to be mechanically based, which has been thoroughly refuted by legitimately all of pain science. And so his bias is that there's always a mechanical cause, that you have to do all these exercises to rehab your back, that, there's a pain generator in the periphery, pain, versus a nociceptive stimuli and pain experience. I mean, it's all wrong. So for something that is strictly his thing, he's not very good at reading the research. And I think McGill's stuff is not very good. I wouldn't recommend it. Yeah. Why do some programs implement low, moderate, high-stress weeks like in the bridge? Because for progressive undulation of training stress pertaining to the gross program design? What goes into determining the different weekly stress? The volume, average intensity, cumulative fatigue. Does the same logic apply to hypertrophy blocks? A little less. Thoughts on Hatfield squats for an assistance exercise? I think they're all right. Yeah. Let's see. I love when people bait you into looking up stupid shit. That's funny. Jordan, what would be your triage thought process if a young male reported he was having issues with vomiting after dinner, otherwise healthy and making progress in the gym? I would need much more information than that. My triage process? I don't really have a triage process there. I mean, outside to make sure he's not choking and doesn't have any difficulty swallowing or breathing, which would be like, hey, go to the ER right now. So, yeah. I don't know if I would be working that up without a formal consult. Yeah. For intermediates and advanced lifters, do you need to make all-time volume PRs in training to PR in competition? No. A 5RM and a 1RM are vastly different things, and volume PRs don't necessarily transfer to 1RM improvements, and 1RM improvements don't necessarily transfer to volume improvements unless you're very untrained. Yeah. What's the deal with my ex-physical therapist? The physical therapist told you that your low back pain is caused by scar tissue in your side joint, which you need to break up with a peanut ball. That's pretty bad. That's real bad. Ugh. Dr. F, if you could choose one, would you prefer a chicken breast or scrambled eggs? Any bioavailability reasons? They're the same to me. I don't care. If it's in the morning, I want eggs. If it's not in the morning, I probably want chicken. Oh, clinical practice guidelines. I've never seen that CPGs. I think anything talking about low back pain that's for a clinical practice guideline that's not from recent pain science, either academia or practitioners who are really up to date on that, are probably not very good. Yeah. Jordan, greetings from Puerto Rico. Nice, man. Hey, you guys doing all right? You got power, all that other stuff? If I find that my elbows are taking a beating by squatting first and bench suffers, can I switch the order of the exercise? I don't think that's fixing the problem. I think you should change the type of squat you're doing or fix your grip or both. Yeah. How effective are vitamin D supplements for strength gains? If you're low on vitamin D, maybe a little bit, but the evidence is equivocal in my opinion. Yeah. I probably wouldn't just routinely supplement vitamin D. Let's see. Squat stance, how wide is too wide? If it compromises your depth and you're going to a powerlifting meet or similar competition where you need to squat below parallel, or for general hypertrophy and you want to go lower, yeah. Will muscle cross-sectional area increase faster with greater volume in an intermediate compared to novice? Would you recommend increased protein intake if so? That's a lot actually to unpack. So muscle cross-sectional area would not likely improve faster than in a novice, regardless of anything, because the novice who is untrained probably has a greater ability to improve their muscle hypertrophy compared to the intermediate just anyway, period. And then more volume or mechanical tension that the muscle has to create, mechanical loading on the muscle fibers themselves, more of that is going to cause more hypertrophy. But that doesn't just start in the intermediate phase, that's in the novice phase too. And I wouldn't increase protein to do anything unless you were not eating enough protein before. Yeah. How do you stay lean? Just don't gain weight. Yeah. Does grass-fed protein have any evidence of having health benefits versus conventionally farmed? No, that's bullshit. Barbell Medicine channel released a video on the bench press. Is it going to be similar videos on the squat, press, and deadlift? Yeah, I'm planning on it. Want to try a template, but don't know which one. 38 years old, 200 pounds, 25 to 3,000 calories, 385 squat, 500 deadlift, 300 bench. Only care about strength. Probably 12-week strength then. Yeah. What's up, Andrea? What up? Do you foresee any negative from copying the deadlift programming of the bridge towards weighted chin-ups? Yes. That's not how I would train for weighted chin-ups. I don't really like weighted chin-ups in general, just to be honest. How would you modify the bridge for someone who has lagging chest and arms in terms of both strength and hypertrophy? I probably wouldn't. I'd probably put them on a different program after they finish the bridge, because the bridge is just, a bridge to something else. Yeah, but their chest and arms would get additional hypertrophy work. Let's see, Doc Bony Bone. What's up, man? How you doing? Why did Alan do this? What other nutrition scientists would you recommend to follow? I'm not sure what Alan did. Oh, this guy wrote a question in Spanish. I don't speak Spanish. Sorry, dude. What size shirt do you wear? Usually a large or an XL, depending on how hipster the brand is. Yeah. What are the suggested training rest days for the 12-week strength template? Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday for training days. GPP on the other days. Yeah. Ooh. Is strength to weight ratio a good indicator for power and athleticism? No. Power is context specific, right? It's force displayed quickly or not quickly, so there's a time component there. And athleticism is dependent on the sport. If you can run, jump, kick, etc., very, very well, but the sport doesn't involve any running, jumping, kicking, you know, you're not very athletic then, are you? Advice on squat shoes. I'm an Adidas guy myself. I like the Power Perfect 2s. They're like $110 if you can find them on Amazon. They have a 3/4 inch heel, single metatarsal strap. I think they're useful. In general, I'd like to find a shoe that's got about a 3/4 inch heel. I think the Reebok Legacies are okay. They're a little taller than that. The new Nike Romaleos 3s are a little taller than 3/4 of an inch. Also, I don't think that their quality is that high. So the Romaleos 2 tend to work pretty well, but the Adi Powers and Power Perfect 2s I think are the best shoes out there, to be honest. You stated that the lifts we do are arbitrary. That is true. Everything we do is arbitrary, right? But isn't the squat chosen as a lift due to the major muscles involved? Well, trap bar deadlift's got all the same muscles involved. If it is chosen for a reason, that wouldn't be arbitrary. Sure it is. Why not do trap bar deadlifts instead of the squat? You could argue the range of motion is higher in the squat, which is true, but for what reason? I mean, and why back squat over front squat? Why low bar back squat over high bar back squat? Why do some people, Reddit, only recommend 0.8 grams of protein per pound body weight instead of 1 gram? Well, I think there was a recent meta-analysis that suggested that there were no benefits for the general population of eating anything greater than 1.6 grams per kilo body weight, which would be 0.8 grams per pound ish. Although in that same paper they say that if you're older, if you're a competitive lifter or like athlete, I think they say that you can go up to 1 gram per pound, or they said 2.2 grams per kilo or higher. Yeah. Benjamin, what's up, man? Can patients with multiple sclerosis benefit from resistance training? I think so, yeah. What do I think of the functional movement screen? I think that it is not sensitive or specific enough to identify movement deficiencies that would otherwise lead to people having injuries, missing games, not being able to participate in recreational pursuits or perform activities of the daily life with any regularity. And I think it's a waste of time. The training required to learn how to do it is not been validated, is not very good. And then finally, it doesn't affect management. Basically, if you fail a certain part of the test, and you're determined to have tight X or Y, how does that change what you do? I think it's stupid. Let's see. Umbilical hernia, recovery for lift again. Wait till your doctor clears you to lift and then go lift. If you start eating the Clydesdales food at work, will I get big? How long until the horse starves? I don't know. Yeah, I would wonder how long it takes for a horse to start going hungry, Do they get unruly? Do they get hangry? I don't know. But I think you'll get big right away. Hey, Doc, doing the bridge, do you still consider it a solid program? Yes. Should you try the 2.0 version after you finish? Sure. Biggest programming changes that have improved your lifts over the last 12 months? Jacking up the volume. Yeah. How effective are resensitization periods for my training? As in, can you actually decrease the total amount of volume it takes you to gain strength? I mean, yeah, if the intensity goes up, if you transition to something like that. And then usually when I go back, I don't always have to increase the volume. I mean, I've been staying about the same volume for the last few months, and it seems like things are going on the way up. Jordan, could you explain how the biological law of accommodation affects training? It's not a law. It's called that, but it's a theory. How often should a lifter be able to increase the load or volume? Be able to? They can increase the load when they adapt. That's not the law of accommodation. Law of accommodation is that when it's basically an extension of RBE as it translates to similar work tasks as far as how much volume or types of movements and stuff like that. So that being said, the evidence on that needs a lot more validation. But you learn this empirically from coaching somebody. So, What would be the most effective way to fix a tight or imbalanced hip and overhead squat or snatch receiving position? Squat and snatch more. Yeah. Can you go over what PCOS is and if there's anything different you would do with somebody who has that and trying to lose weight? PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, is usually a condition secondary to insulin resistance. There's a genetic component. There's a weight component to it. Basically, have altered levels of different hormones, and there's a whole diagnostic criteria that you need to meet after it's been worked up. So somebody who's never seen a doctor for it and doesn't have a formal diagnosis may not have PCOS. In any event, how does this affect training? We don't really have any good evidence that suggests that it affects training at all reliably, although people with different symptoms have different experiences, and you'll have to address that, take that on a case-by-case basis. I actually wouldn't alter training based on the diagnosis of PCOS at all. Yeah. On starting strength novice linear progression, at what point should we deadlift only be trained once a week? I don't know. You should ask somebody who recommends the starting strength novice linear progression where you only deadlift once per week, because that is not me. Any advice on buying shirts for guys who work out? It's all tight around the chest and floppy around the waist. Bonobos, their athletic fit's pretty decent. Gant makes good stuff. AG, I like a lot. Vince also makes good shirts. I find that fit me pretty well. Yeah, things are a little more expensive, but I'd rather have fewer clothes that fit really well than a lot of clothes that none of it fits, Are you slightly triggered, offended that someone asked if you wear a small? I should be, I guess, huh? Good to see the lives again. Hope Toronto treated you well. You guys ever do a seminar in Alberta? I'll be there. Oh, hey, maybe Vancouver, Western Canada. Trying to build bench press and overhead press while playing hockey on Sundays. Impossible to train Monday because I can barely move from soreness. Bench press, overhead press on Tuesday. Wednesday, squat, deadlift. Thursday, bench, overhead press. On Thursday, I see Friday, squat, deadlift, advanced novice. I don't think there's such thing as an advanced novice. You're either a novice or not. And if your lifts are moving up every week, you're just post-novice, and the program should reflect that. I think as you play hockey more and more, you'll be less and less sore. You'll see you're benching and pressing twice a week, you're squatting twice a week and deadlifting twice a week. That frequency is a little low, probably. I would bump it up. What's up, Christina? Chewing for nutrient absorption and digestion. Yeah, just think about you're gonna have to chew stuff to get it to fit into your esophagus and then to your stomach and then to your small intestine. But if you chew it 30 times compared to 10 times, doesn't matter. People talk about that on Instagram are not very well educated. Thoughts on occupational therapists and physical therapists' role in using barbell movements in physical rehab? Thoughts on occupational therapists and physical therapists' role in using barbell movement. They don't have any role in whether or not somebody else uses a barbell in rehab, and if they want to use it personally because they have experience with it and they feel like it's a good tool, then more power to them. Thoughts on omega-3 supplementation? I do not recommend it yet. So I think people pushing omega-3 supplements that's just a red flag that you shouldn't listen to them. Just like people who push paleoethic supplements, just like people who push magnets that you wear for health benefits, just like people who talk about, you should get your hormones tested who are not endocrinologists, just like people who talk about ketogenic diet being the only diet that's useful, just like people who promote CBD oil. I had someone tell me that CBD oil, in their workouts, they could tell a difference. I'm like, nope. And then they were like, well, it doesn't work all the time. I'm like, well, no crap, it doesn't work all the time. It doesn't work. It's CBD oil. Anyway, all right. Let's see. Which version of the press is taught at the Barbell Medicine seminars? I guess it's called the classic press. If we bought the master template, we still get updated templates. No, you get the new master template when that's done. So there you go. My favorite Phil's blend. All right, so check this out. The favorite beans that I buy are these Ambrosia Coffee with Gods. I like that a lot. But when I go there, I always get the greater alarm. Yeah. Let's see. The lighting for your videos has been well thought out. Can you turn your camera around the room to show how the lights are set up? Side note: the background color palette is soothing. So I actually can't. My YouTube camera is right there in a matte box, and it's kind of stable. But I follow the three light, the three light rule, I guess. I've got a key light, I've got a fill light. I'm not backlit right now except for the neon sign in the background, but usually for my YouTube videos, I'll put a backlight behind me so I get a nice little glow. Yeah. Jordan, if you would have to give a quick guide what to do from beginner lifter to advanced lifter, like programs or methods, what would you say? That is an impossible task. Yeah. Define your goals, progressive overload, stress has to increase over time, everything is specific. Meaningless, but there you go. Does a more complete protein supplement like the Barbell Medicine whey powder allow a person to reduce total protein consumption per day and increasing carbs while still maximizing muscle protein synthesis? I mean, compared to incomplete proteins, sure, yeah. Getting my doctorate as a family nurse practitioner, would like to recommend resistance training as therapeutic modality, but I am met with fear. How have you presented this to peers? I mean, you got to address concerns if they ask you about it. So if their concern is injury, then you show them the data. The injury rate for weightlifting, competitive or recreational, are exceedingly low compared to other recreational sports, recreational pursuits. It is recommended in the ACSM guidelines, the physical activity guidelines for adults in 2000 that were put out first in 2008 and then updated in 2010. So legitimately, the guidelines suggest resistance training at least twice a week right now. And you can also have them read our article on Up to Date Strength Training and Primary Care. Why does strength training give me wild morning erections? I mean, you're welcome, right? Jordan, can you explain what sodium supplementation does? Nothing. Yeah. There you go. Have you ever heard of reflexive performance reset? It's being used primarily in the track and field world. Something about breaking up fascia to improve hip flexion or something. You could Google it, or I could just tell you that it's bullshit because it talks about treating fascia with soft tissue work. It's bullshit. Yeah. All right. Is there any validity to resistance training leading to pelvic organ prolapse? No, not any more than like pooping or masturbating. So, you know. Ooh. Hey, Jordan, took your cue from the Toronto seminar on my deadlift to think less, get set, and pull on a 3 count. It felt like the RPE dropped by at least 1. There you go. Making gains. Out of curiosity, did Logic of Rehab reach out to you guys or vice versa? Well, Derek was over. We're making some brisket and started talking about some business plans. And then I think now we're developing the best crew in the medical strength and conditioning world, you know. Why is it important to shrug at the top of the press? It's not. Certain videos say it prevents shoulder impingement. It doesn't. That's wholly made up bullshittery. Yeah, I'm guilty of saying it for sure, but it's wrong. So, just bought a 4-day hypertrophy. How would you schedule this throughout the week? Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Yeah. Sean Sansom. I've got a couple of coworkers that doing a cobbled together 2-day-a-week barbell program. I can't convince them to do 3 days. Do I encounter this kind of resistance? Oh, all the time. But people are like, oh, I'd rather do 2.5 hours per day or per training session twice a week compared to, less time for more sessions. So that's fine as long as they're training. Should Gains RX be taken with food or on an empty stomach? Ideally on an empty stomach because you're taking it right before and after a workout, right? So when you come back to Australia, you should check out Sunshine Coast. Is that like the Gold Coast or different? Oh, I needed that. Doc, can you explain the length of the SRA curve used in the bridge? The SRA curve used in the bridge, stress recovery adaptation, is infinite, just like the stress RA curve in life, in all physical pursuits, are infinite. The idea that it is discrete is wholly wrong, and you need to divorce that idea from factual knowledge in your brain. So the idea that the SRA cycle lasts 48 hours for a novice and 128 hours for an intermediate and longer for advanced, that's silly. Stress is applied constantly. Recovery is occurring in 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and adaptation is constantly occurring. Always. Always. I have awful pain in my neck near the base of the skull from the overhead press. Do you agree it is likely a strained levator scapula? No, I don't. I believe it's likely too much stress acutely on top of your chronic stress from training and other stuff potentially. So adjust training, keep pressing, don't think about it. Doc, I believe I'm experiencing piriformis syndrome. I have sharp shooting pain that starts in my left glute down to my foot. What would you recommend me to do for recovery? I think that you might need to be evaluated if that is in fact true. I don't know if I would recommend anything just over the internets without having a formal evaluation. How to help your body absorb more protein. That's not something you need to do because it already is really, really good at doing it. So, good news, everybody. Arts and crafts time's been extended by 4 hours today. Leah, persuade Jordan and Austin to come to Atlanta at Nashville for a seminar so I can come. Why can't you just come to one of our other seminars? Atlanta is like a central hub for Delta. You can just go somewhere else. Just add 5 frequent flyer miles. Oh, hi, Dave. Hi, Doc. What do you think of the functional movement screen? Yeah, trash. Yep. What brand of bookcase is that? This is West Elm. I have to convince women all the time that I am, in fact, a bachelor, but really good at picking things out of the West Elm catalog. 10 out of 10, would recommend. What is your opinion on the safety of Cymbalta? Generally well tolerated, although they have to redo the black box warnings prior to prescribing it, which actually may be rolled back here pretty soon as far as the its use in adolescents and younger folks. Yeah. What is better, eat dinner post-workout but right before bed, or have last meal before working out? Oh, I would say eating food right after the workout, right before bed. Yeah. Heard that you don't like weighted chin-ups, but would that help if I'm stuck at 3 chin-ups or just more volume? I think doing more chin-ups is the best thing to help you do more chin-ups. Weighted chin-ups, I don't think is going to have a significant impact on your strength when already your 3RM is body weight, Have you read any research on blood flow restriction training? Yes. If the post-op patients cannot handle heavy loads, they cannot do blood flow restriction training. So, yeah. Because blood flow restriction training causes high levels of motor unit recruitment due to the fatigue component that's generated due to occlusion. What's up? Has Silent Mike talked to you about his back? Nope. Jordan, any tips on dealing with low amounts of sleep while in school and testing, especially in regards to nutrition and training? Yeah, I mean, the last few years I've been tired. So I just don't think about it and do as best as you can. There's no secret sauce here. You just keep training and don't think that sleep's going to negatively affect you because it won't, on a reliable basis anyway. Who's currently stronger, Rip or Louie? Well, Louie, I think, still trains, so I'd say it's Louie, but Rip pulled 500 recently, I guess. What are my favorite accessory exercises for overhead press? Pause press, pin press. Yeah, those probably. Incline bench. Thanks for your great templates thus far, Jordan. I'm getting very close to my 500-pound squat goal. Hey, nice. Scott, what's up, buddy? Are you benching 400 yet or what? How many high glycemic index carbs per body weight post-workout? I would not routinely recommend that. Glycemic index doesn't matter post-workout unless you want something that's higher glycemic for your own benefit. Jordan, what cardio goal should I try to reach for good heart health? Being a powerlifter, saw something about 8 mets. I don't think 8 metabolic equivalents is what I would shoot for as a young, active adult. That's like a minimum for, preventing premature morbidity and mortality. So, or reducing premature morbidity and mortality. So, I would. You need as much conditioning as you need to be able to tolerate all the volume and training that you're going to need to do to improve, and that's going to vary on an individual basis. Had my gallbladder removed. Currently have problems with fat digestion. I'm worried that I might have negative influence on my testosterone production. No, no, that's not true. Jordan, I have pain in my hips, specifically feeling in my pelvis that is encumbering my deadlift progression. Is this just something to work through or more serious? I don't know. I can't tell from here. Not sure. Is L-carnitine useful? Nope. What's up, Effie? How you doing? I've been using CBD oil for a month or two, and it seems like it's mostly placebo. Well, the placebo actually works better than CBD oil for some things, but it doesn't do anything for pain. It doesn't do anything for anxiety except for maybe make it worse potentially. It's an unregulated thing because it's a supplement, not a pharmaceutical. And people are like, "Oh, I can get it over the counter." It's like, yeah, you think these people are holding up holding their product up to the pharmaceutical industry standards? No, because that costs a bunch more money. And these people are all flash in the pan companies trying to make a buck off of you, which you should be pissed off about. So, anyway. You guys should come back to New Zealand, but come to Wellington. Hey, there you go. Yeah, South New Zealand, sure. You don't cook a brisket, you smoke it. Well, you can roast it in the oven. That's the way my grandma used to make it. You call my grandma, tell me she couldn't cook. Fighting words, my friend. But yeah, I agree. I prefer smoked brisket. Yeah, smoking brisket, low and slow, 220 degrees Fahrenheit for hours and hours. About 160, 170 degrees on the smoker, indirect heat. Wrap it really tightly in foil, crutch it. The old Texas crutch. You can put it with a cup of coffee in there in the foil, but wrap it really tight, and then don't peek at it for another hour or so until it reaches 202 internal temperature. Then pull it off the grill, let it sit there for 30, 45 minutes, and then it'll either fall apart or you can slice it. Yeah, that's what I would do. Is it difficult to sleep with a Bane mask over your face? I actually dream of the mask. No one cared about me till I put on the mask. Yeah. Ooh. Are you familiar with the books on pain by John Sarno? I am. I thought I had mono once for an entire year. Turns out I was just really bored. That's funny, Dave. Let's see. Thoughts on the carnivore diet? Stupid. Grains. Yes, fine. Don't be gluten free unless you have to be. Whew. All right. Hey, I've been here